The number of new wage jobs for those in their teens and 20s in the country dropped in the second quarter to the lowest amount since 2018, according to Statistics Korea.
올해 국내 2분기 10대, 20대 청년층 임금근로 일자리의 신규 채용이 2018년 이래 최저치를 기록했다고 통계청이 발표했습니다.
Yeah, so it's becoming even more and more difficult for youngsters in the country to find work. The economy added nearly 1.5 million new jobs during Q2. That's down 136,000 year on year, and it's the lowest, like the headline had mentioned, since such records were first kept in 2018. And if you look more in detail, you notice that a lot of these youngsters are in wholesale or retail jobs. And you couple that with interest rates going up, consumer prices going up, it means that the overall domestic demand in the country is very, very poor right now.
Right. Wholesale and retail.
Yeah.
도매와 소매의 업이 되겠죠. When we're talking about people in their teens and 20s,
Yeah.
we know what people in their 20s are. What about people in their teens?
Teens would be teenagers, technically from 13 to 19. But I imagine, I don't know what the legal working age here is in Korea, but a lot of these teens and youngsters in their 20s take up these jobs in manufacturing,
Sure.
construction, things like that. So it's a wider picture, bigger picture of what's happening in the overall economy.
네. 우리가 20대라는 단어는 영어에서 20s라는 단어가 있죠. 그거부터는 다 숫자 그대로 가시면 되는데요. 30s, 40s 이런 식으로. 그런데 10대라는 단어는 사실 영어에서 없어요. tens 이렇게 하지 않습니다. I'm in my tens 이거 하지 않아요. I'm in my teens라는 거는 영어에서 말하는 거는 13세에서 19세이기 때문에 엄밀히 따지면 우리나라의 10대랑은 조금 다릅니다. 그래도 이제 겹치는 부분이 많기 때문에 우리가 이제 넓게 번역을 하거나 해석할 때는 그냥 teens, 10대 이렇게 번역을 하지만
If you want to include 11 and 12-year-olds, perhaps you can call them preteens.
Preteens,
Right.
맞습니다.
So we have preteens.
That's right. 그래서 영어의 그 13에서 19라는 숫자들의 단어를 보면은요. 거기에 다 teen이라는 게 들어가죠. 13부터 19까지. 그게 teenager 아니면은 teens이고요.
Another way to say people in their 20s would be 20-somethings.
20-somethings.
Right.
Exactly.
People 20-somethings.
Yeah, exactly. 그래서 여기서 말하는 이제 한국 뉴스이기 때문에 사실 여기서는 이제 10대, 20대의 청년층 임금 근로자 얘기들입니다. 그래서 아마 이제 10대 후반이 되겠죠. 10대 중에서도.
I don't know many 10, 11, or 12-year-olds
그러니까 10대
in the
초반에
labor
뭐
force.
없지 않을까 싶은데 어쨌든 그래서 그런 의미에서는 영어의 번역이 여기서는 뭐 전혀 문제가 없을 것 같아요. 앞에
Okay.
이제 11살, 12살이 포함이 안 돼도 괜찮을 것 같다는 생각이 들어요. 그렇게 좀 이해를 하시면 되겠습니다. 자, 그다음에 to drop.
Yep. Simply said to decline or to fall, to plummet. There are many ways to describe this. To plunge, or employment figures, they slipped in Q2 as well. You'll see all these words used in these business articles.
Yeah, exactly. Q2라는 거는요, second quarter를 그냥 알파벳 Q하고 E 이렇게 써서 2, 4분기라는 뜻입니다. drop라는 건 이제 떨어졌다 이런 뜻이겠죠. 특히 경제 뉴스에서는 하락했다, 상승했다를 뜻하는 동사가
Yeah.
아주 많죠.
Yeah. To sink, to
yeah.
slide as well. These are
Yeah.
all synonyms for to drop.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to attempt to read this one more time.
Go for it.
The number of new wage jobs for those in their teens and 20s in the country dropped in the second quarter to the lowest amount since 2018, according to Statistics Korea. Let's move on.
Milan's Viamonte Napoleone has beat out New York's Fifth Avenue to become the world's most expensive shopping street, according to real estate group Cushman & Wakefield, marking the first time a European city has topped the rankings.
부동산 컨설팅 기업 쿠시먼 앤드 웨이크필드가 발표한 보고서에서 이탈리아 밀라노의 비아몬테 나폴레오네 거리가 미국 뉴욕 5번가를 제치고 세계에서 가장 비싼 쇼핑거리로 등극했습니다. 유럽 도시가 이 리스트 1위를 차지한 것은 이번이 처음입니다.
Yeah, so rent prices on this street in Italy, in Milan, jumped 11%. So per square meter on this street, it's about $21,000, nearly 30 million won, beating out, like we said, New York's Fifth Avenue. London's New Bond Street came in third.
Yeah.
Hong Kong, fourth, and Paris, fifth. If you're wondering where Korea's most expensive real estate ranked in this, Seoul's Myeongdong district ranked ninth with an average of about $7,400 per square meter. That's up 7.2% from last year. It's the highest since 2019. And we all knew during the pandemic how Myeongdong was struggling with, of course, businesses leaving, a lot of empty real estate there. But it is a sign that I guess businesses are back. And we all know that there's one specific plot of land in Myeongdong that's the most expensive in Korea. That's about 175 million won per square meter.
Wow.
So, but we're taking the average here. That's from this report.
Have you ever been shopping in Myeongdong?
Of course, absolutely. In fact, I was there on Friday to meet someone.
Okay.
And it was vibrant. You know, the tourists are back. I know a lot of locals try not to go there because it is
Very
touristy.
crowded,
It's crowded,
yeah.
you know, but it was good to see because I did a lot of news reports in Myeongdong during the pandemic, and it was almost like a ghost town.
yeah.
It was very empty.
But good
Almost
to see.
very eerie. In fact.
Yeah, but things are quite vibrant now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm happy to report.
Yep. All right, let's have a look at the expression to beat out.
Right. So Milan beat out New York. And I had a long think about this last night because what is the difference between to beat out and to beat? And my conclusion was there really is no difference. It means the same thing. It means to defeat or to overtake or to surpass someone.
Right.
Yeah.
그래요. beat A 그러면은 A를 물리치고 이겼다는 거거든요. 그러니까 여기서는 Milan beat out New York입니다. 밀란이 뉴욕을 물리치고 제치고 그 다음에 1위 자리에 올라갔다. 그 자리를 차지했다. 이런 얘기인데 beat라고 해도 이기다고 beat out라고 해도 같은 느낌이지만 저는 이 out가 들어감으로 인해서 리스트에서 너 내려가 아니면 요 1위 자리에서 out 너 내려가 하는 요 느낌이 좀 있어요.
I agree. I was just going to mention that. There's a more of an element of a competition happening. There might be a bid.
Yeah.
If there's an auction, you can beat out someone.
Yeah,
But beat just simply means to defeat.
Right.
So there is a slight difference. But ultimately, in terms of usage, you can interchange them.
그래서 예를 들자면은 셰인 선생님이랑 저랑 어떤 팔씨름을 했다라고 진짜. 근데 제가 이겼어요.
Yes.
I beat Shane
Yeah.
in arm wrestling.
In that case, I don't know if you'd say you beat out.
beat out는 아니에요. 여기서
Yeah,
맞아.
for some
그냥
reason.
여기서는 뭐 어떤 대결을 했는데 내가 이겼어라는 말을 하고 싶을 때 I beat Shane이라고 상상을 해봅니다. 절대 이길 수 없거든요. 제가 예문이라도 한번 이렇게 만들어봤고. 근데 beat out는 어떤 자리를 내가 차지한 거예요. 원래 그 사람이 다른 사람이 가지고 있었던 자리를 내가 거기에 가서 너 나가 하는 요 느낌이 있습니다.
I feel like you're offering a competition after the show.
할까요, 우리 팔씨름?
Arm wrestling, yeah.
완전히 질 건데. 자,
You never know.
예, wow,
Yeah.
okay. Top the rankings.
Yeah, to top the rankings would be a ranking, of course, is the position or the order within a group. So to top it would be means you're among the best, or it's type of having the highest rank or status or importance.
Yes. top가 여기서 동사죠. top the rankings는 순위에서 1위를 차지하다. 요 비슷한 느낌의 표현이 지금 계속 반복되는 걸 알 수 있어요. Milan has beat out New York to become the world's most expensive 뭐뭐뭐 했으니까 역시 뉴욕을 물리치고
Yeah.
1위 자리에 올라갔다라는 말도 있고 그 다음에 또 역시 it has topped the rankings 1위 자리를 차지했다라는 이제 다양한 표현이 나오고 있습니다. 이거를 제가 한번 쭉 다시 읽어볼게요. Milan's Viamonte Napoleone has beat out New York's Fifth Avenue to become the world's most expensive shopping street, according to real estate group Cushman and Wakefield, marking the first time a European city has topped the rankings.
The European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope Interferometer has captured the first detailed images of a star outside the Milky Way, revealing it shrouded in an egg-shaped cocoon.
유럽 남방 천문대의 초대형 망원경 간섭계가 우리 은하 외부의 별을 처음으로 자세히 포착하는데 성공했습니다. 해당 이미지는 가스와 먼지 등이 타원형 고치처럼 별을 둘러싸고 있는 모습을 확대 촬영한 것입니다.
Yeah, so first of all, this telescope, not the most creative name for a telescope, I don't think.
Very
large telescope, but it is the technical word, VLT.
Okay.
And what in the world is an interferometer? Well, it's an instrument that it uses two light beams to interfere with each other to make these precise measurements. But what this interferometer did, it's located in northern Chile, and it located this this star. It's 160,000 light years away in a neighboring galaxy. Of course, we live in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a neighboring galaxy, and it's thought to be the largest star in that galaxy. It's a red supergiant, and it's about 2,000 times the diameter of our sun. So it's a huge behemoth of a star. But the images that this telescope caught was that it's undergoing this dramatic transition right now. So it has this outer layer that's been blown off, and what remains is this egg-shaped cocoon that consists of gas and dust, is what scientists believe.
Right. interferometer라는 게 그 간섭계라고 하는데요. 천문학에서 간섭 관측기라고 부른다고 합니다. 그다음에 Milky Way는 은하계겠죠. cocoon 방금 말씀하셨는데 그 단어부터 먼저 볼까요?
Sure. A cocoon is, in the insect world, it's something that, think of a caterpillar,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It creates a cocoon and becomes a butterfly. So these insects, when they're in larva form, before it passes through the pupa stage, it creates this cocoon. But overall, the meaning of cocoon is just anything that really just covers or envelops something.
Sure. As a child, did you read Eric Carle's The Very Hungry Caterpillar?
I'm familiar. I can't. That was so long ago. I
Yeah.
can't remember the plot
Yeah.
of the book, though.
Well, the writer passed away a few years ago.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, and the book, of course, is still loved all around the world.
It was required reading. I remember.
Yeah, but the pictures, I
Yeah.
still have several copies of
Okay.
that book at home, and I love it even to this day. It's
And
very
you
simple,
learn.
but
I think it's
yeah.
your first lesson in metamorphosis.
Yes,
and
yeah.
the whole stages that butterflies go through.
맞아요. Very Hungry Caterpillar에서 보면은 캐터필러가 계속 먹죠.
Yeah.
day 1, day 2, day 3 계속 먹고 몸이 좀 불어나는데 그러다가 코쿤 안에 들어가서 좀 잠을 자는 것 같다가 갑자기 이제 나비로 나오잖아요. 자, 코쿤이라는 것은 이 곤충의 고치 형태가 되겠습니다. 자, 그다음에 shroud.
Yeah, if something is to shroud, it's often used in the past participle form. To be shrouded in means it's very mysterious. It's covered in something, disguised or cloaked in something, or a veil. They're all words that describe something that you cover yourself
Sure.
with, right? Like a veil, a bride will wear a veil. A cloak is something someone mysterious would wear. So it means to cover.
To cover. be shrouded 그러면은 be covered랑 같은 의미네요. 가려졌다, 뒤덮여졌다. 다시 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope Interferometer has captured the first detailed images of a star outside the Milky Way, revealing it shrouded in an egg-shaped cocoon. Let's move on to the next headline.
A massive 180,000 carat emerald valued at $1 billion is set to be returned to Brazil after being smuggled out of the country in 2001.
가치가 10억 달러에 이르는 무려 18만 캐럿의 에메랄드 원석이 지난 2001년에 브라질에서 밀반출된 이후 다시 브라질로 반환될 예정입니다.
Yeah, so the journey that this emerald took, it was smuggled out of the country, Brazil, by two residents in 2001, 23 years ago. It was bought by a businessman in the U.S. for reported $1.3 million, but he reported it missing just a few years later, and it eventually turned up in a vault in Las Vegas, and authorities weren't able to determine who the actual owner was, so they confiscated it. And over the next 10 years, starting from 2014, there was this big legal battle. Everybody laying claim to this emerald.
It's mine, it's mine.
Yeah, everyone from individuals, corporations, even the Brazilian government. So in the end, the conclusion was that a federal judge in the U.S. ruled in favor of the Department of Justice, a motion that they had filed to forfeit this gem back to the Brazilian government, to where it first came from. But it's like, someone finds money, and if you report it on, somewhere, hey, I found some missing money. Is this yours? Of course, everyone's going to raise their hand. It's hard
Right.
to determine who the actual owner is.
Now, when you say something is valued at $1
Yeah.
billion or whatever cost, what does it mean?
Yeah, so to value something at something would be to determine that something is worth a particular amount of money. In this case, $1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
valued at 얼마. 그러면 얼마의 가치로 평가가 된다. 이만큼의 가치가 있다는 거고요. And to be returned.
To be returned or to return would simply mean to give back or to send back.
그렇죠. 예, 돌려주는 거니까 반환하다가 될 텐데 be returned는 수동태로 반환이 되다가 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 읽어볼게요. A massive 180,000 carat emerald, valued at $1 billion, is set to be returned to Brazil after being smuggled out of the country in 2001. Let's move on to the final headline.
An extremely rare first edition of Italian Renaissance diplomat Niccolò Machiavelli's most famous work, the political manual The Prince, is going up for auction with an expected sale price of up to $375,000.
이탈리아 르네상스 시기의 외교관 니콜로 마키아벨리의 가장 유명한 저서이자 정치 지침서인 군주론의 극히 희귀한 초판본이 경매를 앞둔 가운데 예상 낙찰가는 37만 5천 달러에 달한 것으로 전망됐습니다.
Yeah. So it's thought that there are only 11 editions of this first copy of this 16th century book, which, mind you, was published actually after, I think 5 years after Machiavelli had died. But Sotheby's in London is putting it up for auction. And like the headline says, they're expecting a price of about $375,000 it is, but of course Machiavelli, it's a very important work, his most famous work, The Prince, in this case. But it's even his name is used as a word. If you're Machiavellian, it's someone that's sneaky or cunning, because this work, he was a philosopher as well as a politician, but it brought out the whole thinking that the end does justify the mean in politics,
Right.
especially in leadership, and it's still quoted to this day.
The end justifies the means라는 것은 이게 결과가 이제 어떤 과정을 통해서 갔든지 간에 그 결과만 좋으면 된다라는 거죠.
It's very philosophical, right? So the result is more important, no matter how or what the means are that you get there. Yes.
그래요. 37만 5천 달러는 우리 돈으로 대략 한 5억 원 정도가 될 것 같고요. 자, 표현 보겠습니다. Extremely rare.
Yeah, if something's rare, it's uncommon, of course. It's very unique. And extremely just means very, right? Greatly, maybe a little more than very.
Yeah.
But I like this because, I remember my school teachers would always say, try to use a word other than very.
Yeah.
And there are many words, exceptionally, right? Like Morning Special is an exceptionally entertaining show.
Oh.
Immensely, greatly.
Yeah.
These make you sound a little more native, I would say, quote unquote.
And if you need any help coming up with these words, then I would advise that you look up something called a thesaurus.
Yep.
This is different to a dictionary because you have similar words listed together. So everything's online now, so you can look
Sure.
up, online thesauruses, but I have several
Yep.
actual paper thesauruses at home. And so you look up the word very, and then you'll have extremely or incredibly,
Yeah.
words that are very similar and
So-
interchangeable.
So a good example would be talking about the weather. Oh, it's very cold today. You can say
Yeah.
it's extremely cold today, and it's more descriptive, I would think.
Yes. 네. 매우 희귀하다라는 뜻으로 extremely rare. And what about expected sale price?
Yeah, if something is expected, it would be anticipated or predicted, like the sale price of this book. And the sale price is the price at which anything is sold.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be at a reduction. It could just simply mean what it is selling at retail or
Yeah.
at wholesale.
That's a good point. 세일이라는 단어가 들어갔다고 해서 여기서는 할인가가 아니고요. 그냥 판매가예요. 그래서 expected sale price는 예상 판매 가격이 되겠습니다. Well, here's the headline again. An extremely rare first edition of Italian Renaissance diplomat Niccolò Machiavelli's most famous work, the political manual The Prince, is going up for auction with an expected sale price of up to $375,000. Well, that's it for the headlines with Shane.
The National Pension Fund has said that the aggregate number of its recipients reached 7 million this month, or more than half of those aged 65 and above.
국민연금공단은 연금 총수급자 수가 이번 달에 700만 명을 돌파했으며 이는 65세 이상 국내 인구의 절반을 넘는 숫자라고 밝혔습니다. Alright, so we have 7 million people in total
Yes.
receiving the National Pension Fund.
Yeah, and it's the first time it's reached this milestone. It's a record breaker, as it were.
yeah.
And that means we're spending more when it comes to pensions. The National Pension Service at the moment is distributing 3.6 trillion won monthly. There are 833,000 recipients who get 1 million won or more. So the big question is, should we be paying more into the pension pot? And so the government has proposed raising the pension contribution rate. At the moment it's 9%. They're talking about raising it possibly to 13% and also having different rates depending on your age, because the issue is going to be, if there are more and more older people and we're going into a super aging society, will the young people ever get a pension? And that's what the MZ generation are talking about. Well, we're paying all this money, but will we see it when we're 65?
I don't even know if I'm going to see it when I'm 65 and I'm in my 40s. So yeah, people in their 20s are probably worrying way more.
Yeah, and it's also maybe time to start saving up for your later years, because you may need the money.
Exactly. So this 7 million mark, it wasn't 7 million just in this year or this month.
Yeah.
It's the total number of pension receivers, right?
Yes. So this is the aggregate number. Aggregate does mean total, but we use it when we're combining things. Like we have a set of numbers here, a set of numbers here, and we put them together and we get the aggregate number.
Aggregate number, total number랑 비슷한데요. 총 숫자를 말합니다. 그래서 지금까지 연금을 받는 사람의 총 숫자가 700만을 찍었습니다. What's a recipient?
It's the person who receives, the person who gets something. So a receiver would be a synonym, but we use recipient for government grants or any kind of money that we're getting, any subsidy. It's very common to see this word being used.
네, 공식적인 단어인데요. 무언가를 받는 사람입니다. 수령인. 그래서 recipient, 여기서는 연금 수령인, 연금 수급자가 되겠죠. 자, 다시 한번 헤드라인 읽어봐야 되는데 선생님이 다시 한번 읽어주시겠어요?
The National Pension Fund has said that the aggregate number of its recipients reached 7 million this month, or more than half of those aged 65 and above.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the second headline.
Korea has designated May 27th as Aerospace Day to commemorate the launch of the Korea Aerospace Administration and proclaim the country's commitment to becoming a global space power.
우리나라가 우주항공청 출범을 기념하고 글로벌 우주 강국으로 도약하기 위한 의지를 표명하는 뜻에서 5월 27일을 국가기념일인 우주항공의 날로 지정했습니다.
Yes. So America has NASA, and now we've got CASA.
Yeah.
No, not song lyrics, but the Korean Aerospace Administration.
Right.
Yeah, we're calling it CASA, I think, because we have NASA in the US, so it's sort of like a similar organization.
Sure.
So that was established on May 27th, which is why this day has been chosen to commemorate it. And the idea is to make Korea one of the 5 global leaders in the aerospace industry and also create a space economy. We'll see what happens next May 27th, because CASA are saying they're going to come up with lots of interesting celebratory events that will inspire, everybody, but particularly the workers in the aerospace industry.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I have to say I'm very proud of Korea for being able to dream of being one of the top 5. Fingers crossed, we'll get
this. Yeah, for all the children out there wanting to, be an astronaut or work in the space field, now you can do that at home in Korea.
Exactly. So good luck to all the kids, and eat your greens. Get fit if you want to be an astronaut.
Yes. 자, commemorate라는 표현 보겠습니다.
Now, commemorate can be a happy thing, or it can be a sad thing, or it can be a respectful thing. For whatever it is, we're marking some important day. So, for example, we can commemorate a wedding anniversary, which is probably going to be a very happy day.
Sure.
We can commemorate the passing of a loved one. It's been 3 years since my grandfather passed away, and I want to pay my respects to him today. So it's a way of remembering, of marking, or of celebrating an occasion, or in some cases, a person.
맞아요. Celebrate 그러면은 축하이죠. Commemorate는 기념한다라서 축하하는 것도 될 수 있지만 이게 애도의 의미가 담긴 날을 기념할 때도 쓸 수 있는 단어예요. Commemorate. 자, 여기서는 굉장히 좋은 의미의 commemorate죠. 5월 27일을 카사, 우리나라의 우주항공청 출범 기념일, 그래서 우주항공의 날로 지정을 했다는, 그렇게 기념하게 됐다는 소식입니다. And to proclaim.
I don't think our listeners will be proclaiming a lot in the next few months or few weeks because it's something a little bit different, something a little bit special.
Yeah.
It's like to announce, but it's about some important information that is being sent everywhere. If you watch historical TV dramas, look, I proclaim this on behalf of the king, for example. So the government, a big organization, the royal family, they're the people who are going to be proclaiming. You and I, Sue, we don't proclaim.
No. 자, 선포하다, 선언하다라는 의미예요. 그래서 일상 대화에서는 잘 쓰이진 않지만 뉴스에서 이렇게 중요한 소식이 발표가 될 때는 당연히 쓰이겠죠. proclaim. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다.
네.
네, 선생님이 읽어주시겠어요?
네. Korea has designated May 27th as Aerospace Day to commemorate the launch of the Korea Aerospace Administration and proclaim the country's commitment to becoming a global space power. A volcano near Iceland's capital has erupted for the 10th time in 3 years, spewing fountains of lava and smoke, according to the country's meteorological office. But there were no disruptions to air traffic or infrastructure.
아이슬란드 수도 인근의 화산이 최근 3년 사이 10번째로 폭발해 용암과 연기가 치솟았다고 아이슬란드 기상당국이 발표했습니다. 하지만 항공편 결항 사태나 주요 기반시설 피해는 없는 것으로 전해졌습니다.
If you live in Iceland, you're used to it because it's the country of volcanoes. It's right on that fault line between the North American plate and the Eurasian plate. And it's where these plates meet that we get volcanoes and we also get earthquakes. And so they have geysers, they've got warm water springs. It's a very nice place to go, but sometimes they have eruptions. And in this case, there was a massive ground fissure that opened up about 3 kilometers long with magma coming up from the Earth's crust.
Wow.
So there's no big danger, no big damage. It hasn't affected the capital city. There's no big dispersal of ash like we had a few years ago, maybe almost a decade ago, when planes had to actually stop flying because the volcano disrupted air traffic. But what we have been seeing is in the last 3 years or so, there have been more and more of these eruptions. And they're happening more and more often. This is the 6th so far for Iceland this year. We may have more to come next year.
Now, not to get too technical, but you did mention the word fissure earlier
Yes.
on, F-I-S-S-U-R-E.
Yeah.
Could you briefly tell us what that is?
Sure, a fissure is like a long split, a long hole that opens up. So, for example, if you cut yourself, when you're cooking, that's not a fissure, it's just a cut. However, if suddenly your wall breaks in half and there's a big hole down the middle, you could call that a fissure. So we're using it for something quite large. It's sometimes used in medical terms for some things, but often it's going to be something big, like this big long hole has opened up.
So we can think of this in terms of the volcano as the sort of entryway to the volcano where things are spewing?
Yes.
Okay, and what is spewing?
Spew. I really don't like the sound of this word. It's not a nice sounding word for some native
Spew.
speakers. But what it means is something is forcefully pushed out. So we use it for volcanoes when they spew out lava. We could use it for whales who spew out water from their blowhole.
Yes.
We also use it if we're not feeling very well. In American English, it means to vomit, to be sick. But yes, so we're looking at something being pushed out with force or with pressure.
뿜어내다 아니면 분출하다라는 뜻입니다. 고래가 이렇게 숨을 쉬기 위해서 숨을 물속에서 참다가 그 다음에 이렇게 머리 위에 있나요? 그 이제
네네네.
숨구멍으로 이렇게 물을 뿜어내잖아요. 이것도 spewing이고 그 다음에 화산재가 이렇게 화산에서 나올 때 그것도 이제 뿜어낸다라고 표현을 하는데 또 다른 의미는 조금 아침 시간에는 불편할 수 있지만 구토를 한다. 이런 의미도 있습니다.
We could also use it when someone gets very angry. They start to spew insults at you.
뭔가 뱉어내는, 뿜어내는 그런 말들. 그래요. What about disruption?
Well, it's something that's going to cause a problem, that's going to cause things to slow down or be delayed or to even stop. For example, let's say there's a traffic accident. If there's a car crash, that is a disruption. It means other cars have to slow down, they have to go around, there's going to be all sorts of problems. In this case, sometimes when a volcano erupts, it causes problems with air traffic and infrastructure, but here there was no disruption.
여기서 말하는 disruption은 무언가의 지장이라고 볼 수 있을 것 같은데요. 교통에 큰 지장이 없었습니다. 항공 결항 사태도 없었고요. 기반 시설 피해도 없었으니까요. 그래서 그런 의미에서는 disrupt가 사실 방해하다의 의미인데 예, 그런 이제 일반 생활에 큰 지장은 없었지만 그래도 화산이 폭발을 했으니까 예, 그래도 상당히 우려가 되는 상황이긴 했을 것 같아요. Alright, so let's read the headline again.
A volcano near Iceland's capital has erupted for the 10th time in 3 years, spewing fountains of lava and smoke, according to the country's meteorological office. But there were no disruptions to air traffic or infrastructure.
And let's move on to the next headline. This is number 4.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed a law that allows debt forgiveness of up to 10 million rubles, or about 135 million won, for new recruits signing up to fight in Ukraine.
블라디미르 푸틴 러시아 대통령이 우크라이나와의 전투에 참전하는 신병의 채무를 면제해주는 법안에 서명했습니다. 이에 따르면 이들은 최대 1,000만 루블, 우리 돈으로 약 1억 3,500만 원까지 채무를 탕감받을 수 있습니다. So basically Russia is saying we will write off your debt
Yes.
if you come and fight in the war where you might die.
Well, this is the thing. This is a dangerous task to take on, but if you're desperate and if you're debt-ridden, this could be a way for you to get your debt forgiven. However, I should say this doesn't apply to any soldiers who have already enlisted. So those who are already fighting against Ukraine, sorry, you're not going to get your debt forgiven if you have it.
Interesting.
The biggest issue is that Russia has been losing forces. There's an estimate from the NATO Secretary General who says something like 600,000 Russian forces have been killed or injured in the Ukraine war since it began in February 2022. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of forces.
Right.
And so I guess the Russian government, the Russian military are thinking, we need more soldiers. How are we going to get people to volunteer? Well, we'll pay off their debt.
Exactly. 자, 지금 여러 가지 표현이 debt와 함께 나왔습니다. 방금 폴 선생님은 pay off your debt라고 했고요. 조금 전에 저는 write off your debt라고 했는데 또 여기 이런 표현이 있어요. forgive your debt. 이게 다 무슨 뜻이에요?
Well, to pay off or to write off suggests that you're going to give the money. Whereas debt forgiveness or to forgive a debt is when you say, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay it back. And we use this as a term, a formal term, when like a government will take over your debt for you. You don't have to worry about it. Or a company says, that's fine. We're going to forgive your debt. You don't have to pay us anymore.
그렇죠. 빚이 있는데 그 빚을 더 이상 갚지 않아도 된다라고 빚을 탕감해 주는 거를 영어로는 빚을 용서해 준다라고 표현을 해요. 그래서 debt forgiveness라는 단어가 나와 있죠. 이게 바로 채무 탕감, 면제가 되겠습니다. And to sign up for the war.
Meaning
sign up.
to join, to become a member of whatever it is. In this case, to enlist, to become a soldier.
Yeah.
But when we sign up for something, we're saying, I want to be a part of it. And literally sometimes we're signing our name to say, I want to be a part of it.
네, 사이닝하는 거는 서명하는 건데 sign up라는 것은 내가 뭔가를 가입하다, 뭐 서명을 해서 가입한다는 뜻이 있죠. 그래서 여기서 말하는 거는 이 전쟁에 내가 참여를 하겠다라고 참전을 하겠다라는 의사를 밝히는 그런 신병들의 얘기입니다. 그렇게 하면은 그러면 혹시 빚이 있는 사람들 같은 경우는 우리 돈으로 1억 3,500만 원까지 채무 면제 탕감해 주겠다.
네.
이런 방침이네요. Let's read the headline again.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed a law that allows debt forgiveness of up to 10 million rubles, or about 135 million won, for new recruits signing up to fight in Ukraine.
All right, let's move on to the final headline.
More than 10% of South Korea's workforce has been replaced with robots, making it the country with the highest robot density in the world, according to a new survey.
지난해 국내 노동력의 10% 이상이 로봇으로 대체돼 우리나라가 로봇 밀도 세계 1위를 기록했다는 조사 결과가 나왔습니다.
Yeah, so this is for me very surprising news. Maybe not for employees who work alongside robots. The International Federation of Robotics have got this report. We're seeing robotics trend globally, but Korea is leading the transition to a robotic workforce. We're seeing 1,012 robots per 10,000 employees, which is quite incredible.
Right.
And we've seen an increase of the use of robots by 5% each year since 2018. I have to say Singapore is catching up as well. They're in second with 770 robots per 10,000 employees. So it looks like Korea is leading the way. I have to say I bought a coffee yesterday and it was made by a robot.
I actually love those coffee making robots. The one with the one arm, right?
Yes.
Yes. 자, 우리나라는요. 그러니까 근로자 10,000명당 로봇이 1,012개가 있다고 합니다. 통계적으로. 이 전 세계에서 가장 높은 비율이에요. 그 다음으로 싱가포르는 10,000명당 770개의 로봇이 지금 이를 대체하고 있다고 하는데 이제 국가별로 봤을 때는 우리나라가 가장 로봇 밀도가 높대요. Let's look at two expressions. To be replaced with.
Meaning we're changing something out or someone out. Let's say B is the thing we're using. We replace it with A, meaning we use A instead of B. So it can be for a person, it could be for equipment, it could be for a word. Let's say, I don't like you using the word nice, Sue. Can you please replace it with another word? Maybe good or great or fabulous.
그래요. 자, replace라는 거는 교체한다는 의미가 있어서 be replaced with는 무엇으로 된다라는 뜻이 되겠고요. 자, 그 다음에는 robot density.
When we talk about density, we're talking about the amount of something in a volume. And here the volume is the population of workers. So robot density will be the number of robots within that population of workers.
Right. 자, 여기서 robot density는 로봇 밀도가 되겠고요. 이 문장 속에서 making it the country라는 표현이 나오는데 이거를 조금 부연을 좀 하자면 making South Korea the country 이렇게 이어지는 문장이에요. South Korea 대신에 it라는 대명사가 들어간 건데 이제 한국의 인력의 10% 이상이 로봇으로 대체됐다. 그래서 한국이 이제 가장 로봇 밀도가 높은 나라가 됐다. 이런 문장 구조입니다. So the fact that we have more than 10% of the workforce replaced by robots makes South Korea the country with the highest robot density.
Yes.
이렇게 문장 구조가 된다고 보시면 되겠습니다.
And hello to all the robots listening.
Yes. 다시 한번 읽어볼까요?
More than 10% of South Korea's workforce has been replaced with robots, making it the country with the highest robot density in the world, according to a new survey.
Koreans' overseas card spending reached an all-time quarterly high in the third quarter, partly due to a rise in the number of outbound travelers during the summer vacation season, according to data from the central bank.
올해 국내 거주자의 3분기 카드 해외 사용 금액이 여름 휴가철 해외 여행객 수가 늘어난 요인이 작용하면서 분기 기준 역대 최고치를 나타냈습니다. Tell us more.
Yep. So I guess a lot of people were traveling this summer and spending a lot of money overseas as well. So the amount of money that were spent overseas by Koreans with their credit and debit cards came to $5.71 billion or 7.9 trillion won during the July to September period. And that was up about 10% from the previous quarter's $5.18 billion. And compared with a year earlier, overseas card spending surged 19.1% in the third quarter. And they say this quarterly figure marked the highest figure ever, beating the previous record of $5.19 billion, which was set in the fourth quarter of 2023. And this growth comes as the number of outbound travelers advanced 8.7% on quarter to 7.17 million during the cited period.
네. 그러니까 대략 한 7조 9천억 원 정도의 스펜딩이 기록이 됐었군요. 네, 굉장히 높은 해외 사용 금액이고요. 여름에 휴가를 많이 간 덕분이다. 이렇게 지금 얘기를 해주셨습니다. 선생님도 여름에 어디 해외 다녀오셨나요?
Not during the summer because
일조를
we...
하진 못했군요.
Yeah, unfortunately.
네, 저도 마찬가지입니다. 이번에는 그랬는데, 네, 많은 분들이 다녀오셨어요. 그러니까 이제 또 스펜딩이 많이 올랐습니다.
Yep.
그래서 partly라는 표현을 좀 볼게요.
Yeah, partly. You can also say partially, and it means not wholly or to some extent or degree and not completely.
자, 부분적으로 어느 정도라는 뜻의 partly. 우리가 이제 구름이 조금 꼈어요 할 때 it's partly cloudy 이렇게 표현하기도 하고요. 네, 여기서는 partly due to라는 표현이 나왔어요. 일부 이런 요인에 기인했다. 자, 그 다음에는 outbound travelers.
Yeah, outbound travelers. So if you're outbound, it means you're going out of somewhere. So it's referring to residents of a country who travel outside of their country of residence for, it could be for leisure, for business, or other purposes.
Yeah.
And outbound tourism would be the activity of these travelers.
Exactly. And outbound shipments would be exports.
Yes.
So anything outbound means it's moving out of the country. Inbound is moving into the country. So we have outbound travelers, 해외로 나가는 여행객들. Outbound tourism,
Yep.
그러면 이제 해외로 나가는 그 관광. 그리고 outbound shipments, 그러면은 수출이 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Koreans' overseas card spending reached an all-time quarterly high in the third quarter, partly due to a rise in the number of outbound travelers during the summer vacation season, according to data from the central bank. Let's move on to the next headline.
The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries has reported that exports of dried seaweed products have already reached a new annual high this year, driven by growing global demand for healthier food products.
해양수산부는 건강식품에 대한 해외 수요 증가에 힘입어 국산 김 제품이 연간 역대 최고 수출액을 경신했다고 밝혔습니다. I love Kim.
Me too.
Right.
Yeah, it's a staple.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like people around the world love it too.
Yeah, yeah. So they say that, we used outbound, but there's also outbound shipments.
Yeah.
And outbound shipments means it's exports. So exports of kim or these seaweed products reached $850 million during the January to October period. And this amount already surpasses the previous annual record, which was $792 million, which was set in 2023.
Yeah.
So Korea is definitely a kim powerhouse. It accounts for 70% of the global market for seaweed products. And for all of 2024, the Oceans Ministry anticipates that the export volume will increase 27% on year to reach $1 billion. And if we take a look at the different destinations, export destinations, the exports to the United States was the most. It stood at $177 million in the first 10 months of the year. This was followed by Japan with $175 million and Thailand with $84.5 million. And the Oceans Ministry said that the export destinations for seaweed products has jumped to 122 countries around the world in 2023 from just 64 in 2010, reflecting the growing popularity of kim in the global market.
네, 지금 2024년이니까 불과 한 14년 만에 64개국으로 수출되던 김이 122개국으로 한 2배 정도 뛰었네요. 그만큼 김을 좋아하는 사람들이 전 세계적으로 더 많아졌고 그리고 이제 올해 같은 경우에는 1조 원 정도의 수출 기록을 세웠습니다. 그래서 이게 역대 최고 수출액이라고 하는데 이쯤 되면 그냥 영어로 dried seaweed 대신에 그냥 김 해도 될 것 같아요.
I think they're trying to
아니까.
push for that. Yep.
그렇죠. 네.
Yep.
그래도 한번 볼게요. dried seaweed.
So seaweed is large algae growing in the sea or on rocks below the high water mark. So kim refers to the generic, it's a generic term that's used for a group of edible seaweeds that are dried to be used as ingredients in Korean cuisine.
I always find it fascinating that the word for 해초 or 해조 in English is 바다 잡초.
Yeah, because they don't eat it.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
do. Yeah.
맞아요. 영어로는 뭐 미역도 seaweed죠. 미역이나 이런 해조류를 다 seaweed라고 하는데 예전에는 사실 영어권에서 봤을 때 이거는 먹을 수 없는 바닷속의 잡초였거든요.
It's weed.
weed가 잡초예요.
Yeah.
네, 그래서 바다의 잡초라고 해서 seaweed라고 불렀는데 근데 우리 동양 문화권 특히 우리나라에서는 산모들이 미역국을 늘 먹고 우리는 이제 김, 미역 이런 것들을 많이 먹는 나라잖아요.
Yeah.
근데 과학자들이 연구를 해봤더니 특히 미역이 정말 우리 혈액순환에 도움이 되고 산모들한테 진짜 과학적으로 너무 좋다라는 것도 알아냈고
It's very nutritious.
맞아요. 김도 정말 건강식품이죠. 그래서 이제 이름은 여전히 seaweed지만 각광받고 있습니다. 전 세계적으로. 이제 그냥 김 해도 될 것 같아요.
Yeah.
자, 그다음에 growing global demand.
Yeah, there is a growing global demand because, as we mentioned, there's it's very nutritious, it's good for you, and it's very tasty as well. So the demand for something is the desire of purchasers or consumers or clients or employers for a particular commodity, service, or other item. So it's an economic concept that
Yeah.
relates to a consumer's desire to purchase some sort of good or service.
supply and demand가 공급과 수요와 공급인데 이 순서로 봤을 때는 supply가 공급이고 demand가 수요예요.
Yeah, yeah.
근데 우리말과 영어는 약간 다른 순서로 보통
Yep.
말하죠. 우리는 수요와 공급이라고 하는데 영어에서는 supply and demand 이렇게 말하는 게 좀 일반적이고
Yeah.
여기서 demand는 그런 수요가 되겠습니다. Growing global demand. That means people around the world are wanting dried seaweed more and more
Yep.
as the years go by. All right, well, here's the headline again. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries has reported that exports of dried seaweed products have already reached a new annual high this year, driven by growing global demand for healthier food products.
Researchers have created an early map of the human body's estimated 37.2 trillion cells, aiming to use the high-resolution open access atlas to combat diseases that harm or disrupt human cells.
인체를 이루는 약 37조 2천억 개의 세포 지도의 초안이 완성됐습니다. 학계는 이를 토대로 누구나 열람 가능한 고해상도 지도를 완성해 인체 세포를 손상시키는 질병을 퇴치하는 데 활용할 생각입니다. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so they're hoping that this atlas or this map can help scientists to better understand health and diseases such as cancer because each type of cell has a unique role. And knowing what all of these cells can do can, of course, help these scientists understand our body better.
Absolutely.
So this group, they plan to release a more complete atlas in 2026, profiling cells across 18 different organs and body systems. And that includes the skin, heart, breasts, and more. The current map not only charts the many types of human cells, but it also shows the relationships of cells to each other. And the group plans to release a more complete atlas, as I mentioned, in 2026 that profiles the organs and the body systems. And, they're saying that it's a deep dive into human biology, that it will have a practical impact, such as identifying and treating cancer cells.
그렇죠. 인체를 이루는 세포가 이렇게 37억 개 이상이 있다고 하는데
Yeah.
그걸 가지고 뭐 일종의 지도를 만든 거죠. 인체 지도. 예, 그래서 그거를 우리가 앞으로 활용을 잘 하게 되면은 질병도 잘 찾아내고 예방할 수 있는 그런 이제 초기 단계가 아닐까 싶습니다. 저는요 숫자 중에 이 뉴스를 할 때
Yeah.
트릴리언이라는 숫자를 좋아해요.
Me too.
왜냐하면 우리 숫자는요 4개의 공마다 하나씩 단위가 올라가죠. 그래서 만, 억, 조 이렇게 올라가잖아요. 근데 영어는 3개마다 올라가서 thousand, million, billion, trillion인데 이 조, trillion 그때 처음으로
They meet.
겹쳐요.
Yeah.
그래서 영어에서 37 trillion 그러면 그냥 곧바로 37조
Yeah.
이렇게 할 수 있어서 저는 우리가 평소에는 조를 말할 이유가 별로 없지만 뉴스에서 요거 나오면은 참 해석하기가 쉽습니다. 그 나머지는 억이랑 만이랑 billion, million 뭐 이런 것들은 다 이제 좀
You have to do a little math,
계산을 좀
right?
이거 뭐지
Yeah.
뭐 몇십만인가 뭐 이거 해야 되는데 트릴리언은 그냥 조다. 그래서 여러분도 이제 숫자 혹시 헷갈려 하시는 분들은 이렇게 37.2 trillion 이런 거 나올 때는 아주 쉽다. 37조 2천억 이렇게 가면 됩니다.
Yep.
What's a high resolution thing?
Yeah, high resolution. We're talking about, we usually use this when we're talking about displays or photographic or video images. And it means that it shows a large amount of detail. So when you can see something very clearly, like when we're watching TV, if it's a high resolution screen or display, it's so clear that you can see like the pores of the people that are on TV.
HR이라고 하나요? 뭐라 그러지?
HDR. I think,
HDR. 아, high definition.
Yeah, or
TV에서는.
HR, yeah.
네. 근데 요즘엔 물론 그거보다도 더
Ultra high definition, yeah.
더 해상도가 좋은 TV도 많이 나왔지만 이 high resolution이라는 게 고해상도라는 의미가 되겠어요. 그래서 고해상도의 그런 인체의 세포 지도를 만들었다. 지도가 여기서는 map가 아니라 atlas네요.
Yeah, yeah. An atlas is a book of maps or charts, or you can also use this to refer to a book of illustrations or diagrams on any subject.
In this case, actually, map is also used in the headline,
Yeah.
so they're both interchangeable.
Yeah.
Atlas는 지도책인데요. 이 헤드라인에 보면 map라는 단어도 나오고 atlas라는 단어도 나와요. 그래서 둘 다 같은 단어라고 보시면 되겠고 영어의 특징 아시죠? 한 문장 안에 같은 단어 반복하는 걸 별로 안 좋아해요. 그래서 이렇게 같은 의미인데도 다른 단어를 왕왕 씁니다.
Yeah, that's why you have to know a lot of synonyms.
That's right. Synonyms, 이런 동의어가 그래서 진짜 중요해요. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Researchers have created an early map of the human body's estimated 37.2 trillion cells, aiming to use the high-resolution open access atlas to combat diseases that harm or disrupt human cells. Now let's move on to the next headline.
Researchers have created an early map of the human body's 32. I just read this headline. I'm going to read it again.
그러네요. 네.
A scientist has simulated the contents of Uranus and Neptune and found that a fluid layer might explain the unusual magnetic fields of these planets, which are unlike those of any other in the solar system.
약간의 그 오타가 있어가지고요. 여러분 좀 양해 부탁드리겠습니다. 네 번째 헤드라인 가볼게요. 한 과학자가 천왕성과 해왕성의 구성 요소로 실험한 결과 이 두 별이 태양계 내 어떤 행성과도 다른 독특한 자기장을 갖고 있는 이유가 내부의 거대한 수분층 때문일 수 있다는 주장을 발표했습니다. Alright, tell us more.
Yeah, so if you are a space lover, this is fascinating news. Apparently, I don't know, I always thought that Neptune and Uranus were very interesting just because of their color. They have this very like greenish blue shade. But apparently they're not very popular planets.
Oh.
I don't know why. I guess they're not as interesting as some of the other planets in our solar system. But this news might change that and make them more popular among people who might find this kind of news fascinating. So this study was published this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Scientists, and it relies on computer simulations, and it proposes that inside Uranus and Neptune, far below their thick bluish hydrogen and helium atmospheres, which give them that color, are layers of material that, like oil and water, they don't mix. So there's two different layers, and the two-layer configuration, it explains the planet's unusual magnetic fields and implies that earlier theories of their interiors are unlikely to be true. So this theory was proposed by Burkhard Mitterzer, and he argues that a deep ocean of water lies just below these cloud layers, and below that there is a highly compressed fluid of carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen. And computer simulations show that under the temperatures and pressures of the planet's interiors, a combination of water, methane, and ammonia would naturally separate into these two layers, primarily because hydrogen would be squeezed out of the methane and ammonia that comprise much of the deep interior.
Right. 지금 얘기하는 천왕성 그리고 해왕성 유레이너스하고 넵튠에 엄청난 수분층이 존재한대요. 뭐 8,000km 정도 된다고 하니까
Yeah.
어마어마합니다.
Yeah.
네. 표현 좀 볼까요? The first word here is the content of something.
Yeah, content. So it's the things that are held or included in something.
여기는 content 쓰네요.
Yeah,
네네.
yeah. So it's the amount of a particular constituent occurring in a substance.
네, 자, contents 여기서 내용물이라는 뜻입니다. 우리가 인터넷에서 소셜 미디어에서 말하는 그 콘텐츠랑 달라요. 그때는 영어로 S 없이 content라고 하고요. 이런 그냥 내용물 아니면은 책의 목차 할 때는 S 붙여서 contents라고 합니다. 자, 그다음에 solar system.
Yeah, solar system. So it's the collection of 8 planets and their moons in orbit around the sun, together with smaller bodies in the form of asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. And of course, Earth is a part of the solar system.
태양계, solar system is what we call it. Well, let me read the headline again. A scientist has simulated the contents of Uranus and Neptune and found that a massive fluid layer might explain the unusual magnetic fields of these planets, which are unlike those of any other in the solar system. Now let's move on to the final headline.
Ireland's wealth has skyrocketed as U.S. tax reforms and a global crackdown on corporate tax dodging push multinationals like Apple and Google to park profits in its low tax system.
미국의 세제 개혁 및 애플과 구글 같은 다국적 기업의 법인세 회피 행위에 대한 전 세계적 규제로 인해 이들 기업이 세율이 낮은 아일랜드에 정착하면서 아일랜드가 현재 유례 없는 재정 흑자를 누리고 있는 것으로 알려졌습니다. I didn't know this about Ireland. Tell us more.
Yeah. So Ireland, it's enjoying a corporate tax boom. So this made the front page of the Wall Street Journal's weekend edition. And this comes as other countries like the US or the EU, they're making efforts to change their law to put pressure on corporations and to so they're trying to move their profits from offshore tax havens. And the OECD agreement on the introduction of a 15% minimum tax rate. So this has really kind of counterintuitively turned out great for Ireland. So the Wall Street Journal reported on how U.S. giants like Apple, Google, there's also Microsoft, Pfizer, they've shifted their operations to Ireland from other places amid this global drive to move activities away from these offshore locations like the Cayman Islands. So the government, the Irish government, they are expected to see a corporate tax receipt topping 37 billion euros. And that's up from 4.6 billion euros just a decade ago. So that's increased about 8 times in the past 10 years. And they're saying that they're so flush with cash, they don't know how to spend it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is a country that used to be bankrupt.
Yeah. Just 15 years ago.
Things have changed quite a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Right. If something skyrockets, what does that mean?
If something skyrockets, it means it's going up into the sky. So when something increases, like the price of something or the rate of something or the amount of something increases very steeply or very rapidly, we can say that it's skyrocketed.
Exactly. Just think of a rocket. But this is a verb. Skyrocket. 한 단어고요. 로켓처럼 어떤 수치가 슉 올라가는 겁니다.
Yep.
그래서 급등하다. And to dodge something.
Yeah, to dodge something. Think of dodgeball.
Yeah.
When you're trying to avoid something, especially by a sudden or quick movement, we're saying that we're dodging something.
dodgeball은 우리말로 피구. 예, 그래서 공을 피하는 게임이잖아요. dodge는 피한다는 뜻입니다. 여기서 말하는 거는 to dodge
Taxes.
taxes. 그래요. 세금을 안 내기 위해서, 세금 내는 것을 좀 회피하기 위해서 이런 의미가 되겠네요.
Yeah. Another word I think that comes up a lot when we talk about taxes is tax evasion. But dodging taxes and tax evasion is a little bit different.
It is different. 네, 그렇죠. Tax evasion is illegal.
Illegal, yeah.
And dodging taxes, I don't know, I guess within the boundaries
Yeah.
of the law.
Yeah.
Moving to a country where you don't have to pay as much tax. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Ireland's wealth has skyrocketed as US tax reforms and a global crackdown on corporate tax dodging push multinationals like Apple and Google to park profits in its low tax system. Well, that's it for the 5 headlines this morning with Karen.
The number of babies born in Korea in September increased by more than 10% year on year, the largest margin for the month in 14 years.
올해 9월 국내 출생아 수가 1년 전에 비해 10% 넘게 뛰면서 14년 만에 가장 큰 폭으로 증가했습니다. Let's talk about newborns then.
Yeah, let's do it. So it was the number was actually up 10.1% to be exact. So that's actually 1,884 newborns. That's the difference from September of this year compared to September of last year. So a total of 20,590 babies were born across Korea in September. And as we mentioned here, this marked the largest year-on-year or year-over-year growth since January of 2011. And the number then was only 10.8%.
Oh, wow.
So not a huge difference. Officials from Stats Korea, they're attributing this to more couples holding weddings in the second half of 2022. Another interesting stat here is, so we can, if we're looking at every time we say year over year, year on year, we're just comparing a certain month or even a period of time to the previous year. So we can also compare quarters.
Yeah.
So in this case, we can compare Q3, third quarter of 2024 to Q3 of 2023. And in that case, if we look at it from there, the number of babies born was up 8%. So quite a big increase, and that's the largest quarterly increase since 2012.
자, 9월 기준입니다. 9월 달에 작년 9월에 비해서 올해 9월 태어난 아기의 수가 10.1% 늘었습니다. 그만큼 이렇게 출생아 수가 는 것에는 어떤 배경이 있을까 좀 살펴봤더니 일단은 2022년 말에 결혼 건수가 굉장히 많이 늘어났대요. 혼인 건수가 2022년 말에 이제 늘어났다라는 것은 대략적으로 우리가 이제 예상을 할 때, 그래서 아마 그리고 그로부터 한 1, 2년 지난 지금 이렇게 아기들이 많이 태어난 게 아닐까 이렇게 예상이 되고 있고요. 그렇다면 왜 또 2022년 하반기에 결혼을 많이 했느냐? 그때 결혼한 많은 신랑 신부들이 팬데믹 때 원래 결혼을 하려고 하다가 보류를 하고 2022년에 결혼을 한 쌍들이 많다라고 합니다. 뭐 이런저런 이유로 인해서 올 9월 달에 출생아 수가 작년 같은 기간에 비해서 많이 늘었다는 얘기가 되겠고요. 이게 14년 만에 가장 큰 폭으로 는 겁니다. All right, let's have a look at, as you said, year on year.
So we could also say year over year.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see it abbreviated as YOY. And for some reason, when people write it like that, it's a capital Y, a small O, and another capital Y. And again, as I mentioned, it's just comparing a current period, so a month or a quarter, with the same period from the previous year. And this shows the difference or the growth from one year to the next.
작년 같은 기간 대비 이걸 영어로 year on year 아니면 year over year 약자로는 대문자 Y, 소문자 O, 대문자 Y 이런 식으로 쓰기도 합니다.
There's many things we can measure. So inflation, economic growth, companies use this to compare profits or even just revenue, sales,
That's right. Yep.
expenses, anything.
Or if you were to just paraphrase this, you could say compared to the year prior or compared to the
same
previous
period.
year in the previous year.
That's right.
이게 풀어서 쓸 수도 있죠, 당연히. 우리도 마찬가지잖아요. 뭐 전년 대비 이렇게 표현으로 말할 수도 있지만 작년 같은 기간에 비하여 할 수 있듯이 영어에서도 compared to the same period a year ago 이런 식으로 할 수 있습니다. 다양하게 풀어서 설명할 수 있고요. What about margin?
So there are a lot of usages for the word margin, but in this case, let's focus on one of the main ones, and that's the difference between two amounts. So in this case, we're just comparing the number of babies born in September 23 versus the number of babies born in September 24. So we can see here it's the largest margin, so it's the largest difference.
Yep.
And it's also used a lot in sports. So we talk about a team won a game by a narrow margin or a slim margin, then you know the score was really close, or it could be a wide margin, a large margin. You know that they probably won by 5 points, 10 points, 10
Right.
goals. Finance, as I mentioned, you'll hear profit margin. And then this is just the difference between profit margin, think about a pie. How big is the slice of all the money that the company generated that they actually get to keep as a prophet. And then politics, you'll see it a lot there. The margin of victory. And so like in the previous American election, I was reading an article how in some swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, Trump's margin of victory, his margins of victory in those states was actually quite narrow. But in other swing states like Arizona and Georgia, the margins of victory were quite like a lot more comfortable than those other swing states.
Interesting. 자, 어떤 수치 두 개의 차이를 말합니다. 그래서 대체적으로는 그런 이제 숫자와 관련된 얘기예요. 그래서 지금 얘기한 여러 가지 상황들이 스포츠팀이 예를 들어서 뭐 1대2로 이겼다. 그러면은 뭐 거의 차이가 안 나니까 the team won by a narrow margin 이렇게 얘기하겠지만 뭐 10대1로 이겼다. 그럼 엄청난 차이로 이긴 거니까 the team won by a large margin 이렇게 얘기할 수 있겠고 그다음에 뭐 선거 결과도 마찬가지고요. 그래서 정치에서도 쓰이고 뭐 경제에서도 쓰이고 다 그랬는데 저는 하나가 더 생각이 나거든요. The other thing I think of when I hear the word margin is the margin on a piece of paper.
That's right.
And in this case, you're talking about the space around it, or sort of like.
That's right. And you can adjust margins. Like
Yeah.
for me, like when I make my notes, I make really narrow margins because I want to fit everything on one page to
Yeah.
save paper.
어떤 건지 아시겠죠? 우리 A4 페이퍼에 보면은 여백 있잖아요. 그거 우리가 조정할 수 있죠. 위에는 좁게 할 수도 있고 넓게 할 수도 있고 왼쪽 오른쪽 다 마찬가지로 이런 이제 여백 이런 것들도 영어로는 margin이라고 합니다.
A lot of the A4 paper when I was a kid in school would have a red line for the margin. You could write little notes in the margins.
That's right. 맞아요. 저도 그런 노트를 가지고 영국에서 그 학창 생활을 보냈었는데, 그러니까 왼쪽에 한 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters,
Yeah, maybe something like that.
그러니까 한 2, 3cm 정도 되는 margin이 항상 있고, 그 다음에 오른쪽에다가 이제 글씨를 썼었어요. 그럼 왼쪽에 있는 그 여백, margin에다가는 내가 쓰고 싶은 그냥 추가적인 노트 같은 거 쓰고, 아니면 가끔 scribble 뭐 이런 거 하기도 하고, 끼적끼적 하기도 하고 그랬던 것 같아요. Alright, so year on year and margin 봤습니다.
And as you can see, lots of usages
Yeah.
for margin.
Yes,
There's other ones
absolutely.
too.
그래요. 스포츠에 관해서 이제 특히 기억하시면 도움이 많이 될 것 같아요. 자, 다시 한번 제가 헤드라인 읽어보겠습니다. The number of babies born in Korea in September increased by more than 10% year on year, the largest margin for the month in 14 years. Let's move on to the second headline.
Israel and the Iran-backed group Hezbollah have agreed to a ceasefire after both sides accepted a deal brokered by the United States and France.
이스라엘과 친이란계 레바논 무장단체 헤즈볼라가 휴전에 합의했습니다. 이번 합의는 미국과 프랑스가 중재한 협상안을 양측이 받아들이면서 이루어졌습니다. Alright, so tell us more.
Well, U.S. President Joe Biden, he said this deal is actually designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities, meaning it's going to stop. This plan's going to stop everything. He did mention that what is left of Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations will not be allowed to threaten the security of Israel again. We'll see about that, but
Yeah.
that's what he's saying. Now, the plan has Israel planning to gradually withdraw their forces over 60 days, and then Lebanon's army will take control of that territory near the border to try and ensure that Hezbollah does not rebuild its infrastructure in that area. Lebanon's caretaker prime minister, he welcomed the deal, and the foreign minister of Lebanon said at least 5,000 troops would be deployed to southern Lebanon as Israeli troops withdraw. Now, what did the Israeli side say? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he said that he would respond forcefully to any violation of the ceasefire by Hezbollah. Now, he's actually got some opposition to this deal from within his coalition government. He's saying that this deal will allow Israel to focus on the threat from Iran, also replenish supplies, give the army a rest, and then to really now isolate Hamas is what he mentioned there.
Well, you said earlier on that the US president says this is meant to be a permanent cessation of hostilities, but the word used here is a ceasefire, which doesn't
ceasefire.
mean that it's a complete end.
No, I guess Biden's hoping it will lead to that.
Right.
But so when you cease anything, you stop doing it. So a ceasefire just means when two sides agree to stop fighting. So when you agree to a ceasefire, you make an agreement that you'll stop fighting.
Yep.
Sometimes it's permanent, sometimes it's temporary.
Yeah. 그 cease라는 동사가요. C-E-A-S-E 이렇게 쓰는데 무언가를 중지한다라는 뜻이 있습니다. 멈춘다는 거예요. fire라는 동사는 이제 전쟁의 의미에서 썼을 때는 뭐 발포한다든지 총을 쏜다든지 이런 거를 말하기 때문에 ceasefire라는 한 단어는 휴전을 한다. 전쟁을 잠시 멈춘다라는 의미가 있습니다. agree to a ceasefire, 휴전에 합의하다가 되겠죠. And it was brokered by America and France.
So that means, so in this case, it's used as a verb, broker. So it's when somebody arranges something or negotiates something and they're the third party.
Right.
It's typically used for deals or agreements. Think about if you buy a house. You're the agent, your real estate agent is the broker.
Sure.
They're in between the buyer and the seller.
그렇죠. 지금 얘기한 거는 이제 부동산 중개인이었는데 무언가를 중개하는 거를 broker 한다고 합니다. B-R-O-K-E-R. 여기서는 this deal between Hezbollah and Israel was brokered by the United States and France. 그래서 미국과 프랑스가 중재한 그런 합의안이라는 얘기겠죠.
You'll often see broker used as a noun as well. Someone's position is a broker, so like a real estate broker, a mortgage broker, an investment broker, and what they're doing is, again, they're the third party, and they're connecting buyers and sellers.
Absolutely. 자, 그럼 제가 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Israel and the Iran-backed group Hezbollah have agreed to a ceasefire after both sides accepted a deal brokered by the United States and France.
John Tinniswood, an Englishman born the same year the Titanic sank and who survived 2 world wars and 2 global pandemics, has died aged 112. Months after Guinness World Records recognized him as the world's oldest man.
타이타닉호가 침몰한 해에 태어나 2차례의 세계대전과 2번의 전세계 팬데믹 상황을 겪은 영국인 존 티니스우드가 세계 최고령 남성 기네스 기록을 세운 지 몇 달 만에 112세의 나이로 세상을 떠났습니다. Alright, so let's talk about the oldest man in the world.
It is quite sad that he did pass away at a care home in Southport, which is in northwest England, but his family told Guinness World Records this, and I loved this. They said he died surrounded by music and love. So I just loved that.
Yeah.
And just a little bit about this man. He was born in 1912 in Liverpool. He got married in 1942 at the height of World War II.
Oh, yeah.
He served in the army. He was in the Royal Army Pay Corps, which was responsible for finances and food supplies. He had children, so he is survived by a daughter, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. So this phrase is different from the survived by is a little different from the way survived is used in the headline. So
Well, let's get right to that.
you want to do that right now then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you're survived by somebody, that's used to talk about your family members that are still alive after someone passes away.
So in this case, John Tinniswood, he's passed away, but he is survived by his
Daughter.
children and
4 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren.
So that means they are alive.
They're still alive,
Yeah.
yes.
그래요.
And one other interesting thing that I really think you're going to like. From the age of 100 to 110, he received a birthday card each year from the Queen.
Oh, lovely.
And and she was 14 years younger than him.
Oh, right.
She of course died in 2022. But yeah, for 10 years he received a birthday card from her.
Because you don't have too many centenarians in the country.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And here's some other interesting things. Every Friday, so they said he didn't follow any specific diet really, but on Fridays he ate fish and chips,
Okay, lovely.
which was a thing that I did with my grandmother when I was in England too. It's like a Catholic thing. You eat fish on Fridays, so maybe he was Catholic. Apparently, he stayed mentally active by keeping up with the news. So so it's a good reason to listen to Morning Special. And
Right.
he managed his own finances. When Guinness awarded him this, they asked him, "So what's your secret?" And he said, "Just luck." And he said, "You know what? You either live long or you live short. You can't do much about it."
비법이 없군요. 장수의 비결이 뭡니까? 그랬더니 뭐 그냥 운이 좋은 거죠, 뭐. 이렇게 얘기를 했답니다. 자, 유족으로는 이렇게 딸들과 손주들이 있다라는 얘기를 했죠. 그거를 영어로는 he is survived by 누구누구. 그래서 돌아가신 분 먼저 얘기하고 someone is survived by 하고 유족을 얘기하는 겁니다. 근데 그것과는 조금 다른 표현이 여기 나와 있는데요. 그냥 survive 하고 무엇 하면은 무엇을 생존했다. 어떤 이제 he survived 2 world wars 이렇게 얘기하고 있거든요. 2차 세계대전, 2차 세계대전 그것을 다 지나고 그런 것들이 있었는데 거기서 살아남은 거니까요. So it's a different meaning.
Right. In this case, it means he lived through these things. And we
Yes.
use it for something difficult. So, like a recession or a divorce, you survive the divorce, survive the recession, or something dangerous, like in this case, a war, a global pandemic. He lived through it.
Yeah, exactly. 어려운 상황을 겪었을 때, 그것을 이겨냈을 때, 내지는 아까 말한 것처럼 살아남았을 때, 그럴 때 survive something이라고 합니다. 이 두 가지 용법이 조금 다르니까요. Someone is survived by 누구랑 그냥 someone survived something이랑 이제 같이 기억하시면 좋을 것 같아요. And to recognize someone as something means what?
So there's a few different usages. In this case, this one is to sort of formally accept or acknowledge someone or something for something they did, like an achievement. The phrase that all the kids say these days is to give someone their flowers.
Oh, and that means to recognize
To
someone, does it?
recognize someone and recognize them publicly. Like,
Okay.
oh, you did a great job or you're the best.
So you give them your flowers.
You give them their flowers.
Their flowers.
Yeah, this is a
Oh.
phrase. And the other one to recognize someone is when you identify someone. So,
Yeah.
like, you see someone you know and you know who they are.
Right. 자, recognize 일단 스펠링은요. 지금 여기는 S로 썼는데 이게 영국식 표현이고요. 영영방 국가에서는 대부분 이렇게 마지막에 SE로 쓰는데 미국에서는 ZE 이렇게 쓰죠. 근데 같은 거예요. 스펠링이 좀 다를 뿐이고 발음도 똑같고. 그다음에 이제 의미는 공식적으로 이렇게 인정이 됐다라는 의미도 될 수 있고 또 하나는 누군가를 알아보다라는 의미가 될 수 있습니다. 여기서는 인정이겠죠? 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. John Tenniswood, an Englishman born the same year the Titanic sank and who survived 2 world wars and 2 global pandemics, has died aged 112, months after Guinness World Records recognized him as the world's oldest man. Here's our next headline.
Denmark's coalition government has approved a groundbreaking measure to tax methane emissions from farm animals, marking the first climate levy on livestock in the world.
덴마크 연립정부가 가축이 배출하는 메탄에 세금을 부과하는 획기적인 조치를 승인했습니다. 가축의 기후변화 세금을 매긴 사례는 이번이 세계 최초입니다. Tell us more.
Well, the BBC had a very interesting headline. Flatulence tax. Denmark agrees deal for livestock emissions levy. So now from 2030, so they have a few years, farmers will have to pay 300 kroner, which is about 43 US dollars per ton of methane. So that's probably about I didn't do the Korean conversion. I'm guessing a little over Oman one, I would say, probably.
43, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit above that per ton of methane that their animals produce. And this is a bid to obviously drive down Denmark's emissions. This was decided after months of debate between the country's major political parties, Danish farmers, trade unions, and environmental groups. They're calling the deal the Green Tripartite Agreement.
Okay.
And they're really hoping that this plan improves biodiversity in the country. They're planning to replace a lot of farmland with 250,000 hectares of new forest. This is another aspect of the plan. They hope this will improve waterways and improve drinking water.
Right. 그 BBC의 제목을 처음에 얘기했을 때 제가 웃었던 이유가 이제 flatulence tax에서 flatulence라는 단어가요. 굉장히 우아하게 fart를 말하는 거거든요. 방귀. 예, 이건 일상 대화에서 쓰는 단어와 그다음에 이렇게 뭐 이게 학술적인 의미나 조금 더 교양 있게 쓰는 단어들이 다르니까 그래서 그렇게 쓴 겁니다. 방귀세금이라고 이렇게 쓴 거죠, BBC에서. 근데 그게 뭐 사실 방귀뿐만 아니라 뭐 트림도 마찬가지일 것이고 소들이 이렇게 배출하는 가스에 메탄가스, 굉장히 안 좋은 메탄가스가 들어있기 때문에 이게 환경 오염을 시키죠. 그래서 앞으로는 그런 것들을 배출하는 가축에다가 세금을 매기겠다. 즉 그 가축을 키우는 농장이 그런 것을 돈을 내야 될 것이고 so once again, going back to the $43 per ton, it's per ton of
Methane.
Of what?
Methane. So
That's
it's
okay.
not just the flatulence. It's not just the farts. It's also the burps. So it's
Okay.
both. But flatulence is a funny word, so that's why they
맞아요.
put it in the headline to make everyone a little more clickbaity.
Exactly. 네, 그래서 나름대로 계산하는 방법이 있겠지만 메탄가스가 배출되는 걸 기준으로 1톤당 우리 돈으로 한 5만 원 정도의 세금을 부과한다고 합니다.
It's a great idea. I'm actually going to start taxing my wife for her flatulence as well. Chun-on for every fart. Yeah, I'm going to be a
every
rich man in no time.
All right, groundbreaking. Let's have a look at that.
Groundbreaking. Something's groundbreaking. It's new. That's the way to think about it. New and innovative. So a lot of the time we use this for things like inventions, new ideas. It's something that it makes a big difference. It kind of opens up new possibilities, so ideas, research, inventions.
네, 아주 획기적이다라는 뜻으로 groundbreaking이라고 하고요. And livestock.
Animals, birds that are kept on farms,
Yeah.
cows,
Cows
sheep,
in this
chickens.
case.
In this case, I was also pigs, I think, as well in this one. All livestock. Cows are the ones that always get blamed for everything.
Yeah, 네.
Yeah.
맞아요. 가축을 영어로는 livestock, livestock라고 합니다. 다시 읽어볼까요? Denmark's coalition government has approved a groundbreaking measure to tax methane emissions from farm animals, marking the first climate levy on livestock in the world. Now let's move on to the final headline.
Suriname has announced a Royalties for Everyone program in which each citizen would receive $750 in a savings account as the South American nation plans for a boon from recently discovered oil and gas reserves.
남미국가 수리남 정부는 최근 발견된 석유와 가스 매장지로 얻을 혜택을 설계하는 과정에서 국민 한 명당 $750를 예금 계좌로 지급하는 일명 모두를 위한 로열티 프로그램을 시행한다고 밝혔습니다. So everyone in the country is going to benefit from this new discovery.
Yeah, they sure are. And also the Suriname's neighbor, Guyana, they did a similar thing as well. Both countries are expected to make billions of dollars in the coming years. In Guyana, earlier this month, Guyana announced that they would give all adult citizens living at home and abroad. And I had some coworkers in Toronto that were Guyanese, so I guess they'll get this money too.
Yeah.
They're going to get about $465.
Okay.
So
Less than this, but
yeah,
still.
Suriname's going to offer more. So a few interesting things here is like the country's not very big, 600,000 people, but apparently they're saying within the next 10 to 20 years. They're expecting to make $10 billion. And 1 in 5 Surinamese people live in poverty today. So this should really definitely help out, obviously.
그래요. 자, 수리남에서 석유 그리고 가스 매장지가 발견이 됐습니다. 이로 인해서 앞으로 엄청난 큰 국가 수입원으로 사용될 예정인데 예정이 아니라 뭐 그렇게 당연히 예상이 되고 있죠. 근데 그거를 국민들에게도 모두 혜택을 주겠다 해서 모든 수리남 국민들에게 우리 돈으로 한 100만 원 정도 되는데요. 각각 다 100만 원 정도씩 일종의 로열티라고 부르고 있죠. 그래서 입금을 다 해주겠다 정부에서 얘기를 했습니다. 근데 실제로 수리남에서는 5명 중 1명이 정말 최저 생계 수준으로 굉장히 가난하게 살고 있다고 하기 때문에 이게 큰 도움이 될 것으로 보여진다고 합니다. Alright, let's have a look at savings account.
A bank account where people can save money. And I forgot to mention this. In this savings account that the government's going to set up, that $750 will get an annual interest rate of 7%.
That's huge.
So you leave that there for a while,
Yeah.
take advantage of compounding. In 10, 20 years, it's going to be a lot more than $750.
그러니까요. 이게 모든 국민에게 100만 원 넣어주는 거에다가 플러스 이율이요 7%나 된다고 합니다. 그러니까 그걸 놔두고 뭐 다른 돈까지 넣으면 더 좋겠지만 그래서 그러면 나중에 불겠죠. 자, 세이빙스 어카운트가 이런 예금 계좌가 되겠습니다. 보통 예금 계좌, savings account. 자, 그다음에 they're preparing for this boon.
That's right. So a boon is a benefit.
Yeah.
Something that improves a situation or brings you joy or happiness or an advantage. So you can say something is a boon for or a boon to.
Yeah.
So, when it rains a lot, that's always a boon for crops or a new law can be a boon to business owners, for example. Who's the snow a boon for, do you think?
Children?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, especially if you had a snow day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
자, boon이에요. boom이 아니고 boon입니다. 그래서 요거 헷갈리시면 안 되고 boon, boon이라는 것은 이득이다, 혜택이다 이런 뜻이에요. 그래서 수리남이 지금 이렇게 석유 매장지, 가스 매장지를 발견했기 때문에 엄청난 혜택을 지금 누리게 될 거거든요. 그 다음에 여러 가지 예시를 들면서 지금의 이 눈은 누구에게 큰 혜택일까? 레이가 물어봐서 제가 아이들 이렇게 얘기를 했는데 네, 여기서는 수리남 얘기에서 boon이라는 단어가 쓰였고 보통 뒤에다가 boon for 누구 아니면 boon to 누구 이렇게 얘기를 합니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Suriname has announced a Royalties for Everyone program in which each citizen would receive $750 in a savings account as the South American nation plans for a boon from recently discovered oil and gas reserves. Well, that's it for the headlines.